You're thinking to yourself, what the fuck happened to Mike? I'll tell you what happened to Mike. It's life and all of its many nuances. Just sit up here and get some more light. The Lord said, let there be light. And there was. Da, 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 da. Holy fuck, I can see you now. Let's get back to some seriousness here, okay? I was just listening back a couple seconds ago to one of my other videos. And for anyone that's still listening to me after some of the videos I posted, specifically the issue with the sound, I just noticed being really bassy because I have a pretty bassy voice, I found. And I think I overloaded the volume bit, which I just adjusted here because I realized that maybe that might not be something that's pleasant for you to listen to, no matter whether or not you enjoy listening to what I have to say or not. And I realized, hey, holy fuck, your bass is too high. So, here's the real rub, okay? Everything you do in life, every choice you make or don't make, or every decision you let other people influence you to make, or you refuse to make for whatever reason, leads to consequences. Plain simple. This is what we simple distillation. Nothing you can do or not do in life does not affect somebody either positively or negatively along the way. There's nothing you can do about that. Even if you stick yourself on an isolated desert island somewhere, the fact that you existed at some point in time and somebody knows you existed at some point in time, whether you're in their sight or not, will still affect somebody, your mother, your father, whoever might care about you. Even if you're in an isolated desert island somewhere, living your own life where everyone has nothing to do with you and they cannot directly affect your life anymore, there may be people for years looking for you. Hell, getting inside and look for 3 years and they knew where the hell they were. And these are fictional characters. Shit. So even when we don't think we can affect other people's lives, we do. We don't get to choose that. We don't get to choose how people choose to react or not react to anything we do. We don't have the choice. We don't have the agency of that. All we can do is make choices and hope that they're the best choices for us and in the long term for the people that we care about, that we can affect and have any influence over. That's all we have. So having said that, let me distill everything down. Okay, we were talking about things before like nostalgia, and I know nostalgia is something that may be a very prevalent theme here. I talk about it a lot. Memories, going back, how the choices are affected by past life decisions, the influences of people in your life, the fact that we really have free will. All this stuff is dovetails into everything else. It all becomes one part of one thing. Is the fact is once you're born, first of all, you don't get to choose to be born. That's the first choice that is taken away from you. You do not have that choice. You either are born or not born. You either concede or not concede. You are not innate. And of course, the Sam Kinison joke is I didn't have to be born. And the truth is, yeah, he didn't. None of us has to be. None of us have actually to exist. We just have to deal with the consequences of our existence once it happens. And there will be many things that will affect us, internal and external influences, that will affect whether or not the quality of the life we have, the longevity of the life we have, besides our own stupid choices. So the choices we make, positive and negative, there's so many things happening. People you won't even know. Some person that you've never met in your whole lifetime may determine whether you live or die by the fact if they hit you with a car or not, or if they build that bridge correctly and you cross that bridge and the bridge is built faulty and you just have to be the poor slob that crosses that bridge when the bridge falls. You have so many things that happen to you that you have not enough clue to make an informed choice of whether you do or do not do. We just have to accept things a lot of it on blind faith that the guy that built the bridge, or the guys that built the bridge, built it properly and they used proper materials, and the people that didn't scamp around the materials, or the inspector inspects the bridge, makes sure the bridge is inspected properly so it doesn't fall down, and all kinds of things. So you had this whole list of people and things that are totally, completely out of your control that we have to accept on blind faith most times. as being okay in that, and accept the fact that we're taking our life in our hands no matter what decision we make. Well, like, let's face it, be sitting in this basement right now. As safe as it may look, the whole basement might collapse because some poor slob that designed it might have put an inferior component, or there might be a piece of wood that's weak and it's been damaged for years, and it's slowly coming down. One day it decides to fall down and crashes and die. These are things. There's so many things that are outside your agency of control that if you were to worry about every single one of those things possibly ever happening in your lifetime, you would be in such a state of paralysis that you would never live. So we have to sort of suspend some of these things and just say that shit happens. And the shit that's way beyond our control that's going to happen around us all the time, that's going to affect our existence, the quality of our existence, and everything happens externally around us. We only have the limited amount of control of our own personal choice and our own personal decisions, of which we don't even know if we make those even. If we actually have actual choice, or the circumstance or those other external forces dictate that. Because the chemistry in my brain, the fact that I ate certain foods, those foods may have chemicals that may affect the way my brain functions and how my logic forms in this, and how we go about making choices in the begin with. So these questions are bigger and bigger and bigger than anyone else understands. The choice to do or not to do stuff, the belief or the non-belief in free will, the acceptance of manifest destiny. Some people believe that you're manifested to a certain destiny. You have absolutely no control. No matter what you do, you might as well just follow on the path and enjoy the show. Or do you have some limited agency to control or influence the things that happen around you, either in a positive way or a negative way? This is something we're all attempting to ask ourselves and each other. So, enough of that. I mean, we can't control this stuff. All we can do is be the best. The best advice I could have is never ever take anything for granted. Like, don't take the fact that you exist as being a given. Don't ever think that someday your quote luck will not run out. And don't live like your life is going to end tomorrow. But at the same time, don't act like you're invincible and that you possibly can never die or suffer or feel some misfortune or be in a position where you will have to reflect on your life, because you'll have a lot of changes to do, and those changes are going to reflect how you take and manage. Live your life to the moment for the most degree. I mean, be proactive. I mean, you have to plan certain things. You have to plan as much as you possibly can plan, but even at the best laid plans, the old saying, the best laid plans of mice and men go asunder. And there's a reason for all these things. These things have come over centuries of human beings doing the exact same things we do now. Technology be damned. It's every generation has its own technological wonders, its own advancements, its own labor-saving devices, whatever, to make things easier. And some have helped and some have hurt us. They always good and bad things, like nuclear bomb. I mean, nuclear energy brings us power, but it can also kill people. Who knew? That's a kind of ironic joke. It's like, who knew? So what I want to talk about now is the future. And the case of this is the future of my existence here on the internet and this channel. The future is, I don't know what my future is, but one thing I do for certain is the fact is, if I'm going to build an audience and get to know every one of you as much as I possibly can, and you get to know me as best you can as far as the limited and supposed to existence on here, I have to be consistent. I've never been that way in my whole life. I've always just done things wherever I felt and went on the whim. And this is not the way life works. People expect consistency, they expect structure, they expect something reliable and dependable, because all of us, whether we like it or not, feel like, for the most part, our lives are either planned for us or we plan them in order to make things work so that we can have time to spend with our friends, our family, amongst all the commitments in life we have, which is making a living to pay for the bills, to provide the home we have, to provide the clothes for our children if we have children, to provide all the needs we have, prepare for our retirement, and all these things that we have to grow up and become adults now, that we all have to contend and deal with now as we grow up. So I have to become more consistent. I originally set apart that on Wednesdays and Thursdays of every week, despite the fact that now my fiance's son now lives in the basement now. So, of course, now I'm no longer the only tenant in this basement. I have to work around the fact of whether he's home or not home. Being a young man, he's traveling a lot to run his life. He wants he has friends in that deceased and that. And he has relationships in that he's involved in. So he's not always here. So I got to try and... Sorry. I'm going to attempt to stop using the word try. The word try keeps coming up. It's like the word fuck. I mean, it's a bad habit to break. I mean, how many times have you said to yourself, I'm not going to swear ever again? The first thing that happens is something happens really bad. You go, oh, fuck. And then you go like this. I did it. Did I do it? Did I actually say that? Was I ever upset with myself for doing that? So I'm going to attempt to be a better host, a better presenter, a better participant in life, a better whatever. Hoping that with the arrival of spring soon to be here, hopefully if winter finally decides to give up the ghost and to say, I quit, we're waiting for that to happen, that we can get along with spring and all the greatness of spring and the renewal of life and plants and flowers and us enjoying life and getting out there and being active citizens again, participating and enjoying the beauty which is nature. And having said that, obviously what's going to do is that's going to make it very difficult for people to want to spend time. I'm basically now going to have to fight for the time all those people wanting to participate in nature and be in life again. They don't want to spend time sitting around listening to me all the time. So what I think I'm going to have to do for all those people that are not ready for a long, drawn-out speech from me going on here like a grandfather all the time, talking about everything and going on around in circles, it seems, is to come up with a smaller, bite-sized broadcast. And instead of being called My 2 Loonies Worth, I think I'm going to rename it A Minute's Worth of Advice or something to that effect. Something like nibbles of wisdom. Something very short and sweet, sort of a simple sort of summary of what a theme I've got going on in my life or what's going on in my head. Something you can listen to very quickly that's not going to take up much of your time as opposed to talking to me on here and listening to me on here. And I think it might be a good ad. So what I need to do is for the people that are watching me on here, I want you to let you know what you think about that. Send me like, comment, or subscribe, or like, comment, and subscribe to the website. Absolutely. But send me a comment here or an email at info@endtimemedia.ca and let me know what you think. Whether that be a good idea or not to come on with maybe a small limit broadcast, to maybe doing a YouTube short or one of these other short videos. Just coming out with little pearls of wisdom about things I observe as opposed to those long form videos, which tend to get very, very long. They're not scripted. I've never scripted a video. My brother says, why don't you script a video so that you actually know what you're talking about so you can keep on track? So I'll say, I don't work that way. I just work off the cuff. I feel about what I feel and what I think at the moment, and I like to go from there. I don't really like to go about regimenting myself. And maybe I should. Maybe that's another thing I need to do is maybe more regimented in terms of scheduling, not just scheduling my life, but scheduling how I use my time when I do, so that I can get more information out to the people more quickly and I can be more entertaining and engaging without being long drawn out. Maybe so. This watch, I got this. Technology is really good. I got this Samsung watch after 3 years of having it. The watch face decided to pop off it. Now, I don't know why, whether it's just bad glue or whatever. It's my spare watch, by the way, so it's not my main watch, thank goodness. My new main watch is brand new, and it's not done anything yet like that. I'm crossing my fingers it doesn't, but this one near the screen pops up. But it was interesting. I got to see the insides of things, so it was a dread one side, but it roused my curiosity about the technology. I mean, I didn't really understand how this technology works, and now I know. This neat how it's basically the same type of screens they put on a phone. Just a little circular version of it with a little rubber cable attached. So, enough said about that. So, anyway, what I was thinking about, what I'm really thinking about today is I was thinking about today. I was talking to my mom, and you know how you talk to your parents or talk to someone on forward figure in life, and you always seem to get to the same sort of argument all the time. It's always when you talk about the past, as which a lot of us talk about when we're get into arguments. A lot of times it's not talking about what's going on now, it's about what happened in the past. It always seems to come out that certain members of our family tend to want to defend themselves vehemently against any attacks on their particular character for anything that they may have done indirectly or directly to affect your life. My mom was not an exception to this rule. My mom does not want to take any personal responsibility for any choices she made, good or bad in life. Any person that made bad in life, good things, she'll take the credit for anything good, but she won't take anything for anything bad in life, simply because she feels that it wasn't her fault. Nothing's her fault. It's always somebody else's fault. What if I wouldn't have had this happen to me, and I was too young and too naive and too stupid. And then I realized, in a way, I did the same thing with her when I talked to her about my past. Wish I would have somebody told me, but at the same time I thought about it, it's not just from the point of being naive, it's the fact of being treated like I was naive. Treated like I didn't understand. Maybe I wouldn't have. I think I would have. But like everything else in life, you'll never know. You'll never know whether the choice you made would have turned out exactly the way you thought it would. Whether you would have still met the person you love that's in your life right now or not. Whether that person would have been there in your life. Would you have even been in the same place had you made that different choice or not? We never know. Mr. Destiny movie sums it up best about the guy that goes into a bar one day after his birthday and says, "Hey, I wish I would have made another choice. I could have caught that ball, the winning ball. I would have been married to the boss's daughter, and I would be all these great things. All these great things would happen to me." Until someone comes on, Michael Caine is a barkeeping system. He kind of says something to him, but doesn't really say anything. He lets him go off in his merry way, walks out of the bar, and he wakes up and then realizes very quickly that his life was different for some reason, but he can't really put his finger on exactly. Right? It doesn't seem very different right away. And then he starts coming to the realization, the home that he went back to his own home, the home they thought he had with his wife. Turns out this woman doesn't even know him, other than the fact that he's the boss's son-in-law. So he's figuring, okay, well, that's not. Then he finds out that he's actually married to the prom queen, that he did actually catch the ball, and now he's the boss's son-in-law, and he's one of the people in the company. Finds out his relationship with his friends is different now, because they're no longer his friends, because they're no longer comrades with him. He wasn't the guy, this extraordinary Joe that works in line with everyone else. He's the boss's son, so now he's their boss. And now, of course, those relationships he had before when he was not in the position of power are all gone. The kids that he would have had with the wife he had are all gone. The relationship he had with her is gone. His relationship with a wife that he didn't really know, that became a result of him being the jock's. The main jock girlfriend was the new woman he married, which was the daughter of the boss, and he was all of a sudden had kids by them, and his whole life was all about these things. And he realized that as much as he thought he would have gained by having this new life, having it the way that he thought the life should have been, because he presumed that all these decisions that he did not always have control of, things that just happened because of circumstances, made his life worse than it really was. And it turns out in the end that he realized that the life he had, there was nothing wrong with it. The only thing that was wrong with his life was him. His perception of it. The perception of it being a bad thing. That he didn't catch the ball and he ended up with this other woman and he had a family. The perception that he didn't end up marrying and becoming the head of the company. All these things they thought were great actually turned out to be awful. Because he had to give way too much to get what he thought he wanted, or thought he deserved, or thought he was entitled to, thought what he should have got, had circumstances won his way. Having us all have times where we think we made a decision, and we wish we would have known exactly what the consequences, what would have happened if things would have went differently. Would all like to have a Mr. Destiny moment. That's the movie, of course, Mr. Destiny. A Mr. Destiny moment where we get to see exactly and get to experience for a moment, even if it's just a dream, what the consequences of that decision would have been had things happened differently. Although that movie is a very simple premise based on a single particular event, the fact is that most of our decisions, like most of our consequences in life, are not just based on one particular moment and one particular circumstance, and not just based on what we do. It's based on everything else around us that happens in the environment we happen to be in, all the other people that come into play that affect it. I mean, the guy that threw the ball, or the guy that hit the ball, would have hit it like Slaughter, he might have caught it, or he might have ended up instead. He might have turned around and hurt himself instead, maybe not hurting himself. There's all combinations and permutations that could have happened, good and bad, everything going. There's so many moving pieces, we just can't move one piece and expect that one piece moving does not require all kinds of intricate other things happening in the background for that to happen. That it's just you have direct control agency of all your decisions. It is not that simple. No decision is. And we can't worry about it being not that simple. All we have and all we can do is be the best person we can be and hope that the circumstances line to make us have the best possible life we possibly can, given the circumstances of the choices we made. That's all we got. That's all we got. But yet, we still love nostalgia. What can I say? So, on the note, I think what I should do is basically start getting to wrap this up. Maybe start finding some new topics to talk about, because nostalgia, obviously, I could talk about nostalgia and destiny and predestiny and choices and that till the house come home. But I think this channel is not just about me talking about reminiscence. It's talking about what's happening now, what's going on in the future, what's going to happen for us forward. Because as much as it's nice to talk about what happened in the past, it really doesn't change as much, other than it gives us a point of reflection to look at and frame new things differently. And so I guess that's probably why I spend so much focus on talking about the past and nostalgia and decisions and looking back and reflection and stuff like that, because the fact is it really does, in some very significant way, affect the present and the future, because we let the past influence and bias how we deal with certain decisions, and not just how we deal with certain decisions, but how we make those decisions. I mean, how prejudice comes. A prejudice, a prejudgment, any sort of the word that people use now is racist, because they automatically have to jump to race as being the reason why we prejudge, which is kind of silly, because prejudgment is not just about race. It's about all kinds of factors. Race might be one of them. We prejudge or prejudice all kinds of things. While we do, every decision has a bunch of prejudgments that we make ahead of time in order to make a conclusion. Because the fact is, sometimes there's way too much information. We just judge everything based on the facts of what we knew at the very moment. We'd sometimes never make a decision about anything. So we have to sort of filter through the mud of it. We use prejudice or prejudgment for everything. Every decision we make, like whether we go to a certain restaurant, we prejudge it based on our experience from the previous visit. Now, it might not be the real justifiable reason why something happens. Maybe you went to a restaurant, the guy was a bad day, and the guy made a mistake, or the supplier he gave, or whatever, all these other external things, and this guy had a terrible day for whether he's from internal, external forces around him, and it proves shitty food for you, and you just happen to receive the food, and because of that, you made the judgment that from now on, I'm never going back to this restaurant again, or I'm maybe not going back to restaurants, I'll go back, but I'll never order that particular dish again, because he was horrible, because he didn't like it, or it was prepared wrong, or whatever, okay? So we make a lot of our future decisions based on prejudgment. Even if it's just prejudgment, looking at the quality when we go to a restaurant, what the outside exterior looks like, how the shape of how clean it looks, or how good a service we get, or we make a lot of prejudgments on. We use a lot of the just information around to prejudge, or maybe reviews. Well, a review is basically a prejudgment. It's somebody else making assessment that's not you, you're hoping that they are a reliable source to make a judgment that you're using as a basis to making your decision. So you're using their judgment as a prejudgment. You're using facts that you can't necessarily verify, and you're hoping to be reliable as a basis for you making a decision. But we do that because we have to streamline decisions, because if we don't have information, whether it's from other sources or from just a personal observation or just personal experience from the past experiences with certain circumstances that we put into categories, not because we're category machines, we make it very difficult to make decisions, just like the decision about ending this podcast. So right now I'm going to end this podcast, and I hope you enjoyed what I've talked about. I'm hoping that this type of ideas and thoughts stimulate you. If you have other ideas and topics that may be discussed in this podcast, please feel free to give me an info at intimemedia.ca, or you can just comment in the video, whether this is on YouTube, Rumble, Locals, or whatever platform we're on. We're attempting to spread on more platforms to get more reach out there to more people, because we recognize not everybody's on YouTube, and a lot of people now are starting to diss YouTube for various reasons because of the way YouTube is maybe not the best platform to be on for most people, even though it's the most popular platform, which is why many of the creators, including myself, are on it randomly. I mean, it is the largest platform, so we have to attempt to get the platform that has the biggest audience. But at the same time, we have to recognize the fact that not everybody's on YouTube, so we're expanding into other platforms. So I don't know, like, comment, and subscribe, and hope to see you soon. This is Mike, and this is my Loonies for this week. Take care, and bye for now.